Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Roundup. I'm Jay77. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed the first weekend of what is the NFL season. It's a lot of good games that came on Sunday. Unfortunately, my team did not came through. The Jets, I don't know. They had a 16-0 lead, only to lose at 17-16. They had a good game going on, but they just couldn't hold on to the lead. And I'm hoping that this will not be a bad trend going forward. Because one, that was not a good team that was facing. The Buffalo Bills, they may have a good squad, but they're nowhere near the teams like San Francisco, Miami, or New England, or Pittsburgh, or most of the teams that are just better. And the Jets, to me, should have won that game. And unfortunately, they ran the gas. The defense just couldn't hold on to it. And next thing you know, we are, instead of being 1-0, we're 0-1-0. At least I could say they was playing hard. Unlike the Giants, who just was never in it at all. And I got a bad feeling this is going to be like that for the Giants all year. No one has confidence in them. No one has a feeling that they're gonna actually make some noise. It is not looking good for the New York Giants, the Big Blue. But then again, let's be fair. It's only week 1. However, let's also be fair. Every week counts, and so already they are falling far behind, especially in the division that has the Cowboys, that has the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Jets is just as bad. They have New England and really no one else. New England is the top dog. I do not see them actually not making the playoff. If they do, it'll be very, very rare. But I see them having a struggling season, though. I don't see them having a great year, but I think they're going to have a good year. They're going to make the playoff, and they're going to make some noise. But my goodness, for my Jets, if they want to have anything done, they better get their act together real quick. Especially with the head coach who, let's be honest, has single-handedly have made a positive with their transactions and acquisitions and drafts into a negative when they find a GM midway through the offseason. So he has a lot of pressure on him that needs him to win and needs him to win now. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season, and I don't think he's going to survive a second season, let alone the first one. That's just my opinion. But all in all, I'm happy that the NFL's back, and I'm actually happy that the college football's back, which I'm going to be watching a lot more of now that my wife is a huge college fan and loves football, and we'll be sitting down watching the games. We watched Army versus the Wolverines, the Black Knights. And as the game was going on, I actually enjoyed the game. It was a very, very fun game to watch. I always love to see the college crowd get wound up for their teams. It's always a good sight. Michigan has always been a very good team when it comes to college football concern. But there was something that was brought up by the announcers that I didn't know what was going on, and that was regarding Army and the players who are playing in military academies. As you all know, they're not just college students. They're pretty much recruited to serve our country and to basically do a tour, even when their college sporting careers are over. That also includes the basketball division of the NCAA. And it said that Trump, and I didn't know that was going on. I wasn't really paying attention to the college football circuit like that. They said that Trump is looking to change the rules where these kids or these young athletes could actually be drafted into teams and play professional sports. Now, that's an eyebrow raiser. And they was talking about it. They talked to the recruiters as well as the sergeants who are in charge, or whoever was in charge of the process when it comes to college kids and them competing in the professional level without having to go through a long period of of weight because they have to finish their tour. Now, trying to give a better reference of it, Rodman, the person from San Antonio, his name is escaping me. I'm sorry. One of the greatest players in the world, and his name escapes me. But he hadn't played for a while. Robinson had for the San Antonio Spurs, could not join the Spurs for another, I believe, 2 years. He had to finish his tour before actually going to pro. Now, normally, that will keep draft guys, scouters, and people who's doing the draft, and even owners of these professional teams away from the military academies because of the tour. They want to have their players now. They don't have a, they don't have a minor league team at the time. Still don't in many ways, but they want these athletes now. Why do I have to wait 2 years? It's not going to help them 2 years. They need them now to help improve the team. Well, Robinson was so good that they actually was willing to wait. Actually was willing to give him a chance to finish up. And when he joined the team, he joined the team. He joined late, but he still joined the team and had a tremendous career, winning championships for the San Antonio Spurs. That has been well documented. But if he wasn't as talented, or that they had no faith at all of his abilities when it comes to him in his athletic career, would he have been picked? Would they have waited for him? The answer is probably no. So they must have saw something great in him for them to actually take a chance and just wait a few years and then have him play. It paid off because he was their main player and actually guide them before Duncan was part of the team. But imagine if they didn't wait for him. Not only would be a talent wasted, but the San Antonio Spurs may not have had the championship they had, at least under Robinson. Can't know what's going to happen with Duncan, but in terms of the Robinson era, which is a totally different era from the Duncan era, it would have been a different scenario. It would have been a different ballgame. But this is what a lot of these athletes from these military academy may face. Yes, they're playing, college sports, but their chances of being drafted by a professional team is very slim, and very rare that these teams will actually wait. I think you have a much better shot at being drafted by a professional baseball team than what you have with the football team and the basketball team, because at least even with hockey. Because at least with those sports, they do have a farm system. So it's not like they're going to get picked right away. They have to go through a system. Whereas for the NBA, and for those who are listening to this podcast, I know that they have a developmental team. But really, I have yet to see anyone come out for the developmental team that actually made a strong impact. That's still experimental phase, in my opinion. That's all that is. I'm not taking that too seriously until they actually see somebody come up from those developmental phase, those developmental teams that it's called, and actually make an impact, become a superstar. Until I see that, I can't take that seriously. I call that the second team, the second league of the teams that they're supposed to represent. Those who couldn't cut it will still have talent, and hopefully with a little bit more work to get better. But in terms of football and basketball, they don't have a farm system. Baseball has farm systems, lots of them. Same thing with hockey. So the chances of them actually coming from out of their tour and being a professional athlete is much more stronger on those categories than they are with football and basketball. Unfortunately, that's where most of the best athletes are coming from when it comes to college sports. Not to take anything away from baseball, not to take anything away from hockey, but there's a reason why we have Army, Navy, and our television on a weekly basis. They got some of the great athletes there. Unfortunately, they also are recruits to serve our country. They're doing a tour. And God bless them. I hope they stay safe. I hope they keep their head above water. I hope they come back with their mental stage. I'm always proud of them for doing what many people really can't do. It takes a very strong spirit to serve in the military. Let's keep it real. But Trump is looking to change some rules, and have asked them to reevaluate their policies when it comes to athletes, when it comes to actually having them play professional without waiting a few years. And I gotta be honest with you, I think that's a smart move. I think that is a good gesture for the president. You know, I've always criticized him when he's done something crazy, but when he does something good, I gotta praise him for it. That would not be a bad move at all, especially if the athlete can have a chance to play. Why should he wait? Now the question is, will they actually go with what he's saying? And the answer is, I don't know. There are some cases where they're making exceptions to certain athletes, but not to all. So they are work in progress when it comes to this. And that's all you can ask for, just work in progress. Let's see how that works out. But at least he's giving them a chance to compete, a chance to be drafted by the teams that they want, and give them a chance to actually make it big in the professional level. It's not going to be that easy. I know that there's a lot of red tape, a lot of policies that they have to go review, and who knows, they may not want to risk it all, because all they have to say is they know what they sign up for. They didn't sign up just to be athletes. They signed up to serve our country. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So it's not going to be just at a clip of one. Trump can't just because Trump said he wants it to happen, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And to be frank, I'm kind of surprised it is kind of happening like that. I'm kind of surprised he wants these guys to do that, especially his relationship with the NFL in the last few years. But it's a good gesture. I'm actually happy that he is suggesting that to the military, our arms. I'm happy that he is bringing it up and making say, hey, he's lighten the rules so that way these guys can play on a professional level. I just don't know if they're going to change it completely. I think they'll make exceptions like they're doing now, but I really don't think they're going to go all in on the idea. At least not yet. And if they are going to go all in, there are going to be some exceptions and there are going to be some conditions. So it's not going to be just, okay, they're going to be discharged after serving only 2 years in term. I think they're going to make it where they have to serve a full 4. I think it's 4 or 5. Not too sure. I got to ask my niece that. She used to serve in the military. But I do know that they probably will tie into their college days where they said, okay, you still have to serve your term, but we're going to make your term match your college days. So if you graduate and you do your term perfectly fine, then you can actually be given, then you can go to your professional level. I don't see that as being the problem. And let's be honest, they take these kids young. I remember very vividly when my niece was graduating from high school, almost immediately they took her. Almost immediately. I said, can you at least celebrate before you guys just thrust her into the arms of the belly of the beast? Because she used to have a couple days off. No, they took her right away. They was standing there waiting. They do not mess around. The moment you graduate from high school, that's when the moment you get in to be recruited by the military. It's very interesting. So I think honestly, if they can make an exception for these young kids, that'd be great. I got no problem with it. I have no problem with it. No, but I do think it's going to be a lot of red tape to go through. And just because Trump wanted it, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I'm actually glad he brought it up. I'm actually glad he suggested it. If these athletes are talented enough and strong enough, and the guys who are in charge of scouting, the team think they're good for their team, and they want them on the team, I don't see why they should not go and play for their team. I think there could be some exceptions for the rules. That's my opinion. What's yours? I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, because I think there's going to be more to it. I know media hasn't covered it. I'm actually glad that the college announcers have, especially the those who are pretty much I know doing play-by-play for Army. That's something that's very interesting. I did not know that happened. The media hadn't talked too much about it. If they did, I didn't see it in the main level. But I'm glad it was brought up. That'll be interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, guys. Can we now call it, or do we need more time? That horror has strongly made a comeback in the last 2 years, and it's not a coincidence that we're hearing it more and more. Get Out, Academy Award-winning horror film. That is a horror film. We have Us. We have Ma. We have Halloween, the resurgent of Halloween, which was a good movie. I will say that. Not a great movie, but a good movie. And now we have the It franchise, which concluded with It Chapter 2. All these movies were financial and even critical success. This is a whole different genre of horror, and I gotta admit, I am loving every minute of these horror films that are coming out. Why? Because for the first time in a while, I am seeing horror films that are not catered to the adolescents, that has great script writing. They may not be perfect films, but these films does not talk down to the audience. I'm not seeing horror films where teenagers are having sex, doing drugs, and cursing like wild horsemen. It's one of the reasons why I had a very bad disdain for the Friday the 13th films, and a very even more disdain for horror in general. They seem to really paint teenagers in a bad light, making teenagers feel that this is how they think, talk, and act, and that was never the case. You now have smart writing, really done more catered to the mature audience. And most importantly, not only they're still scary, but have a story to tell. And that's something I've been screaming at for years. Years. Give me a good story. I'm not saying that all these movies are going to be perfect. I'm not even saying that they got good scripts. God knows that Hellraiser series were not catered towards the teenage crowd. Wasn't the best script in the world with their sequels. I cannot say about the direct DVDs because I have not seen not one of them. The last Hellraiser film I saw was Bloodline, and I understand perfectly well it was not well written. But have these films where it's not cringeworthy when it comes to dialogue. Perfect example is the remake of Friday the 13th. I don't know what the hell Platinum Doom thought they was going to get out of that film. They thought probably they were stuck in the 1980s, because it was a chore to get through that film. I hated that film because it did the same old stupid stuff that really turned me off from the begin with. The dialogue was almost 50% cursing. It was very, very difficult to get to take that film seriously. And the only thing about it, and this is something I did not care. I was rooting for the bad guy. I should never have to root for a bad guy in horror films. But when you have such unlikable characters, or in an unlikable script, in an even more unlikable story, I'm just saying, just get it over with, Jason. Let's just do it. They're land for the slaughter. Just do it. Please end my misery. If I can get any entertainment out of what you're doing, please. And that should never be the case. That's always been the problem in horror. Now, we have new faces, new writers who are writing horror, smart, intelligent, still scary, but they at least have a story that I can be invested in. And the strange part about this, if you even think about it hard about it, it's coming from people I never thought would ever actually write horror. Jordan Peele is one of them. I never once in a million years thought he can write horror. I've seen his early work. I'm like, he's a comedian. What the hell? How he's gonna write horror? Well, he did, and you know what? I can't wait to see him do more. Now, granted, I'm not a big fan of the Twilight Zone remake that he's doing. But then again, who can be Rob Sterling? Rob Sterling is one of a kind. How he betrayed the Twilight Zone cannot be duplicated. I kind of wish they'd just leave Twilight Zone alone and stop trying to reboot the damn thing. But in any case, he has the gift to make horror films great. Halloween was done by a comedian. Think about that for 1 minute. It took a rebooted remake of Halloween from a comedian point of view to get Halloween right. So Halloween horror is making a bit of a comeback, but it's done in a way that is different. It's done in a way that is intelligent. It's done in a way that is smart. It's done in a way where you can actually invest your time into the story. Stephen King, I know Stephen King has a big beef with how his stories have been adapted, but if I'm Stephen King, I have to be delighted and happy how they portrayed it in these films. I know he has a problem with certain films being adapted, but if I'm Stephen King, he should be doing cartwheels because they got it right. It may not be perfect, and for some people, it may not be the best that they have to offer, but hey, they stuck by what the original source material was good enough, and they added some new stuff that was actually great. They had good actors, and even they had good child actors. The child actors was phenomenal. So to me, this is something that is that's a big jump for horror films, because let's be honest, horror was dying for a good portion of the 90s and even in the early 2000s. There was not good horror at all coming out during that time. The only good horror you can actually find, surprisingly, was underground. Some DVD releases had better horror than the main ones that was coming out. It was kept alive by the horror film festival that showed actual horror. Some, granted, most of them was gore, which I don't mind. It's a different breed of horror. But it was a very difficult trend. Horror was not as popular as it is now. And the reason was lack of originality, lack of pretty much intelligence when it comes to audiences. And they were stuck in the 80s where it may have worked fine for that time period, but now it's a different time period. People don't want to sit through a 2-3 hours watching unlikable characters just get slaughtered with no rhyme or reasons, no good story behind it. They want some more meat for their bacon. So I think we're getting it now. And that's because they have writers who are creative and are passionate about the films they're doing. And directors who are good at how to direct, good at how to tell a story, and you're seeing it. Now, all these films are just announced on Masterpiece? No. But do all of them do a good job of telling a good story that you can actually sit down and say, okay, where is this going? I'm kind of curious. Why is there two of the same families, one good, one evil? What's going on with this? What changes have they made to the Twilight to it? Why is this so important to the story of it? I hope these characters make it out alive. Key word here. I hope these characters make it out alive. How often can you say that to a horror film with characters you don't care about? And you start caring about the characters and you rooting for the characters and more than the villain, the film did something right. Hell, even Child's Play, to a large extent, Child's Play had a good year. And that was a film I had no confidence in whatsoever. Boy, was I wrong. Still not digging the dog controlling your house thing. That I just can't see that. But overall, the changes they made to the franchise was good. Let's be honest. Child's Play, with exception of one, which was goofy as it is, gotten worse and worse to the point where I actually sat down and watched a transvestite Deed of Chucky film. No offense to anyone, no offense to that group, but I did not expect to see that, and I really was wondering what the hell I was watching. It was the worst child play film ever. That film killed the whole entire franchise, in my opinion. Seed of Chucky. It made no sense whatsoever. They found a little bit of a fan base again with the DVDs, which, by the way, to my understanding, the rights still have not, the full rights to Chucky hasn't fully been converted. And they still are making those DVD films, so it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to play in. Whereas for Child's Play, which is owned by UA, which was, by the way, was the original producers behind Child's Play, not Universal, have made this film. I think Universal has teamed up with them, but it was very much clear that UA was this is the first UA released film in years. They have made a Child's Play as the first one. Every other film have came out from Universal Pictures. But the first Child's Play film was actually owned by UA. I was wondering how that's possible that they actually brought Child's Play, the original title of Chucky's films, which is Child's Play, back. Well, because UA still had partial rights to it. And the legal ramifications of these films always amaze me. It really does. Even Chucky had a good year. Chucky! I did not expect that to happen. But yeah, it is a different ballgame with these horror films now. And if they ever going to do another Friday the 13th, but they are trying to get off the ground. I don't know if they can. I do know they had a lot of legal issues that involved the games. And to be very fair, I don't expect Friday the 13th to actually follow through with the intelligent writing. I think they're going to be the same old thing. But if that's your cup of tea, fine by me. He has a fan base. I know that remake didn't do very well. He does have a fan base. And if fans are still wanting to do another Friday, that's fine. Same thing with Freddy. I have more confidence in Freddy getting done right than I do have with Jason, because I think unlike Jason, Freddy did have likable characters. They had likable characters in their first film. Even the second film, which I hate, had a likable character that you want to root for. And I didn't like that film at all. But 3, no question, you were rooting for those kids to survive. I did not have one single dislike for those kids. Nancy stepped up a game. 4 and 5, even 4 and 5 to an extent, you know, I was rooting for the heroine. I wasn't rooting for Freddy, even though Freddy was cool, and I actually thought that was one of the best horror villains of all time. But then 6 happened, and oh my God, it's the worst of all the worst. And then Freddy vs. Jason, which has its fun moments, but let's be honest, the teenagers was not one of them. The remake of Nightmare on Elm Street was not as bad as I thought. I just felt the characters was his plan. That's just how it is. I just thought the characters was bland. That's why, to me, it didn't work as well as it's supposed to. Even Robert Englund said that it was the wrong timing. Jack O'Hara was pretty good. I actually think Jack O'Hara was good, but that makeup did not help him. That makeup was a very, very disdain of his character. Just throwing it out there, folks. So yeah, I think that horror is coming back. And the reason why it's coming back is because you actually have writers who are writing stories. And instead of just going through the rinse and repeat scenario that some of these other writers was doing. And admitted they was doing. They flat out told you. One thing about a Jason film, they flat out tell you. They're honest about it. They say, hey, look, you know who the hero is when they stick it like a sore thumb. If they're not doing drugs or having sex or being disrespectful and vile, you know they're getting killed. It's always the one who shouldn't be with this group of people in the first place, shouldn't be even hanging out late at night. Those are the ones going to get killed. This was exactly their words when he did a documentary about the first two Friday the 13th films. They made that very clear of what this film intentions were, and it has been like that ever since. It's been like that from the very first film all the way to even the remake. They have never changed that formula. Well, if they're gonna come out with Friday the 13th now, they better start looking at the other horror films that's coming out. And the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. They gotta look at what's going on, because having that scenario isn't going to cut it anymore. It just won't. I do not see them having too much big success. Then again, the Friday the 13th franchise never did spin big. I think the most they ever spent was $7 million. One thing I'll say, they always kept it on the cheap. So if they make $10 million or even $9 million, that's a smash hit for them. Keep in mind, the first Friday the 13th film didn't make no more than probably $2 million back then. They didn't spend that much money for that film. All the actors were young, rookie actors. They didn't spend millions of dollars acting. They didn't have much to do in terms of the effects. It was just the actors and their script. What musician do you think they paid for? It was not that much music to begin with. So again, if they just go the cheap route, which wouldn't surprise me, it probably will be a good thing. Halloween did the same thing. Halloween went with the cheap route when it came to Bloom Films. They know how to do it cheap, but they also have experience of doing films like this and getting the best out of these films, whether they are good or not. And that's results. We had the Halloween film that we got, and well done. So again, I'm actually kind of impressed with what's been going on. I'm looking for more. And Jesus, the horror industry needs it. They need it. And you know you've done something right when your horror film is nominated. Jordan Peele deserved what he got with Get Out. Let's be realistic. So I want to see more of this. I want to see more of what is in store. I really do. But that's more in my opinion. I want to know what's yours, and until then, I'm gonna just keep it moving on. I'm gonna just cut it short right here. It's 32 minutes. But I'd like to know what you're feeling about this, especially in the genre. Do you feel this genre needs this kind of stuff? Do you think that the genre could benefit from having these stories being told in the way they're being told? Also, I am going to continue on with part 2 with this story, because on the midweek edition, because there was a documentary that came out about African Americans and horror, which I find very interesting and very, very fascinating. I'll give my own take on that, as well as some other stories that I want to touch into. But until next time, this is J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.